reason I'm seated here and I'm smiling this morning is because I have learned to control my temper at work. Otherwise, maybe long before now, I would have been somewhere else. Maybe at home, lying down, covered in the blanket. This is today's live on Equa Television International. We're so happy that you could join us on today's edition of the program. We're talking about controlling your temper at work. Yes, I know a lot of people are saying, some people that I work with, you will not understand. You cannot control the temper. You have to just allow it get to that point where some Chinese will take place. But then, however you look at this whole thing, when we talk about temper, it has to do with your state of mind. It has to do with your emotional reactions to issues as they unfold. And because you are not an island as an individual, you have to work, you have to relate with people, you have to work with a team of people. You don't even have control over their behaviors, over their reactions and all of that. So what do you need to do? Would you have to be reacting to everything around you, to every situation? Do you have to keep fighting? Do you have to keep exchanging blows and words and all of that? No, you wouldn't want to be entangled in that kind of web. And that is why it's important that as you go to work, as you indulge in businesses, you have to be in control of your emotions. Jamima Emmanuel is here and Prudence Berger. Good morning.
Good morning.
I also here because you have controlled your temper.
Obviously.
Or you are that person that, well, when it comes, I give them back. I think the only reason why all of us are seated here is because we have developed that skills. Because honestly, in and around you, we're talking about work. Like there are reasons why you should allow that anger, why you should allow the outbursts, you should exchange words, you should fight, you should what. But for you to accept to work, you must have put certain things in check as an individual. Because I know that it's not everybody. For some people, I'm saying this because I've worked with you all and I know that at least you are in charge of your emotion. For some people, they have jumped from one job to the other. For some, they have decided not to even work at all because like they cannot take certain things. They will tell you, I will not take it. You are trying, It's common to hear people say, you're working in that place. You are trying, Me, I cannot. It's actually common. But let's talk about temper. Before we talk about the topic is controlling your temper, but let's talk generally about temper, the state of mind, your emotional reactions. Like, have you had instances at work, whether here or not here, that you were tempted to actually react, or you reacted and then later on you had to just sit down and say, why did I do that? Let's talk about temper.
Well, temper, how you are able to manage yourself in the face of a situation. And of course, the situation is not a pleasant one. If you would have to control and manage yourself.
True.
Because if it is pleasant, you don't even struggle, you don't make any effort at all. So the situation has to be a negative one. And then being able to just now when we say control, it's not like you should not be angry. You should be angry, but you're trying to manage it in a way that it does not overwhelm you, that it does not control you. You are trying to control that anger. So when we're talking about controlling anger, that we're saying we're all seated here because we're able to control anger, it doesn't mean we don't get angry. We get angry, but then it is the ability to suppress it, to keep it in check, that it does not pass a particular level. So for me, that is temper. Everyone has temper. Sometimes we hear people say, I have hot temper. Don't touch me. We all do have hot temper, and it's really boiling to a certain degree. But then the ability to be able to control it to a minimal state is what matters. Sometimes
but once it's hot, you don't have control over it. Don't you think so? Because your temper you can either have a good temper or like the hot or the bad temper. Once it becomes hot,
you control it, that it does not even become that hot, because there is a level to get to that you would not be able to do anything at all. So it is that ability to control it, that it does not escalate to that boiling point. If not, trust me, you would also be watching, just like every other person is watching as well.
So I came across something and it says temper is a psychological and physiological concept, it's an issue that if you don't manage it, or if you don't handle it rightly, it would end up being something very detrimental to you. So when you're talking about anger, and you're talking about how some people would go all out telling you, oh, I have very hot temper, in a working system, that is a red flag. And when I say red flag, it is that you are prone to very very vices that are very detrimental even to their society. For instance, you could be looked at as a potential killer, a murderer. So anytime there's a murder around the environment, and for any reason your name pops up, you're automatically a suspect because you already have anger issues. So you talk about things like this. Temper is not something you should be proud of, because it affects relationship massively. People would walk around eggshells around you, like walk on eggshells around you. It's like everybody's just tiptoeing around you so that will not trigger that anger, and it just makes people uncomfortable. So instead of you to have smooth relationships with people, you just there's just a break, there's a bridge in the relationship you have with people. So automatically in a work environment, that just automatically brings poor performance, because nobody would outrightly, or rather very few people would come up and tell you things that would aid and make your work easier, because they're afraid of how you would react.
And then earlier on, you asked the question if we've been faced with situations where you were angry, and plenty of times where you later on you go and sit down and be asking yourself, but why did I actually become angry like this? And then because of that, the next time a different situation presents itself, you are able to manage it better, because you saw how you escalated previously, so you are able to control yourself better, and you do differently. When you get angry and you lose your temper, nobody wants to know if you were the one at fault or not. Nobody wants to know if you were the one that was right or not. The most important thing is, did you lose your temper or not? I lost it, and that is all. So in managing your temper, I think one important thing that one should know is, what kind of temper do you have? There are people that just, like Prudence said, you have to walk on eggshells around them. There are people that all day round they are angry. They'll finish being angry for this reason. They're angry at the whole day. They're angry for different reasons. There's another person that it takes a lot to make him angry. Like, he doesn't get angry over little things, but the day he gets angry is like a bomb. He can destroy a lot of things. So it's left for you to be able to know what kind of things triggers your anger. Are you the type that gets angry easily? Are you the type that does not really get angry all the time? So that you know how to be able to manage it. If you are that person that gets angry easily, okay, what are those small things that make you angry? You try to do away with them. If you are that type that gets angry once in a while, okay, what point would I get to that I would really lose it? Then you try to do away with all of that, and I think it helps.
All right. So concerning the whole, have you had incidents? Not in a work environment, yes, but well, I
mean work, like, because
Work,
the
yes,
the
work.
discussion is centered
it's-
around work.
I'm just going to. I was just trying to buttress on a point, and that's where I was heading to. So, but really not in a work environment. It was in a school environment, and goodness, after the reaction I gave, on second thought, I came back and I was thinking, I'm like, did you actually do this? That means you could kill. It was just because I literally slammed a window, and the window was like a metal window. I literally slammed a window at someone's face. So you could imagine if I had a sharper object close, I would have done worse. But this is what happened after that, and I came back and I was thinking, like, wow, just wow. If something had happened to this boy, what would you have done? This is someone reacting because, oh, someone did things that did not please me. And I had to tell myself that if you actually want to go further in this world, you have to work on this. So I had to like take deliberate efforts to check myself, and I over time developed a coping mechanism. So when I get angry, a lot of times you find me smiling or laughing.
Is it a sarcastic smile?
Sometimes
Or is it genuine?
but like sometimes
Because you
it
know our
is.
parents, when we got them angry and they smile, you are dead.
You are finished.
Yeah, finished. But that's not it. I over time got to find like, okay, so when I get angry, I try to find something that is funny about the whole incident. There was one time that something was seized from me while in school, and it was really annoying because I know that a lot of people are using this same thing, and why is it my case is different? But then I looked at it again and I was just like, really? So something like this really would just happen to someone. So I just tried to find humor even in a situation where I was getting angry and boiling over it, because I know that it is detrimental not just to my physical reactions, like what I could do to my environment, my immediate environment, but also to what would happen to me psychologically. I got to a point that you would have, because if you check yourself, you'll be able to find that when you're getting angry, there are certain things that keep occurring. And for me, it was that I begin to see that I have constant headaches, or I'm just dizzy and drowsy, because I know that, okay, so you're getting to that point that you're really getting angry. So look for something that will just bring you down and copy it. So
one thing I know is that no matter how calm, how collected you are, there are tendencies, as far as you work with people,
yes,
there are tendencies of you losing your temper. Temper in itself is not bad. And that's why I said you can have good temper, meaning you are in control of that situation. And earlier on, talk about temper being the state of your mind, your emotional reaction. So when there are triggers, the things that make you, okay, something happened, you can either decide to be calm in the situation or decide to let anger outbursts like show up.
yes.
So even though as much it's like you could really try hard to avoid anything that has to do with the work environment, I know that generally in life, as far as we deal with people, like we have our experiences with temper, but because it's Monday and we talk about work, we're restricting the discussion to be it office, organization, company, your businesses, that's the conversation. And that's why I was asking if nobody's going to sack you, by the way. So if you had an experience with either a colleague, a boss, a subordinate, a superior, your colleague, about like that you had to lose your temper or you had to be in control of your temper. Like personally, for me, it's countless. And that's why I said that the only reason why I'm seated here is because I've decided to be in control of my temper, because I have 101 reasons why I should let the anger outburst. One of the experiences this. There was a time, I think it was with a colleague, well stated expectations, and then this person decided to do otherwise, and instead of apologizing, the person decided to try to gather some set of people that will help justify his or her reaction to the whole thing. And I remember in trying to do that, the person now said something, and I walked in immediately, and that was when he couldn't stop what he was already saying, and I turned. At that moment, my emotional reaction will have been something else. But I remember looking at that person and I said, if not for God, you know, the Bible says that the love of God constrains. And that if not that I have repented, I have accepted Jesus as my Lord and personal Savior. And I looked at the picture of our boss, like the GM, and I said, if not for my respect for this person again, I mean, the worst will have happened. But I'm at the point where no, I would not dignify rubbish. Like, I still know who I accepted. I still know who like reflecting his image, even in my life, in my reaction. By the time I do this, it will be uncalled for. And I said, that's the only reason why I would not allow my temper now, this way I feel now, to influence my reaction,
Yeah.
and I had to just walk out. So there are other instances that you're being accused of things that you did not do, and you're like, where is this one coming from? I remember one, it was a meeting, and then people were asked to review experiences and all of that, and this person got up and said, this person went and did not do what was expected. This person was eyeing this person was doing this, and it was like a movie. I was so shocked and surprised at that point, knowing well that this journey and what was expected of me was what I went to do. Even like for my colleague as well that were there, that was even also accused of not doing what was expected. And I just remember all the sleepless nights, how they were putting so much to ensure that everything that was expected of us was done. And then somebody would just wake up and not just say something that is right, but something totally out of the picture. You know, that time that somebody will accuse you and you start wondering whether there's another person using your face or... And I looked at this person after the whole conversation, and while the person was complaining, you can see the anger, you can see the emotional reactions and all of that. And at some point I was asked, maybe you have something to say. I was in shock, and like, where did this whole thing come out from? I started reflecting on all the effort I put to make sure that this thing work, and then look at the view that you're getting. And I just said, I don't have anything to say. And after a minute silence, because you know, in that situation, people want to defend yourself. Some people are like, I just said I don't have anything to say. And then secondly, I said, if I did anything to anybody here, knowingly or unknowingly, I'm sorry. And I sat down. I went home. I decided not to talk and everything. I went home, I sat down. I was just thinking, like, in my head, why would this person say this? Why would that person say that? There are instances that benefits that should have been given to you, you see that maybe a colleague decided to hoard it. Like, these are things that happen in the office. You come, something that you kept here, you come and see somebody picked it, and you're asking everybody saying, I didn't do it. Or you're seeing outrightly communication, things that people should communicate to you, people that are responsible, that have the information to tell you, oh, there is no work tomorrow, and the person will be quiet, and you waste your transport and come to work. And like, how do you react to all of that? And that's why I said, see, controlling your temper in itself is a skill that you need to develop if you really want to work in an organization, if you really want to own a business, if you really want to, as far as you interact with people, and for a workplace and for an organization, like for you to maintain professionalism, it is very sacrosanct. You can't do without you being in control of your emotions.
All right. So why I kind of dodged the question earlier was because of the heart, I could really not think of anything that was very work related. But you brought up about something. This was not directly at me. It was actually something I saw happening, and I was angry on behalf of the person because, like, literally this person communicated. So she had a reason to not be at work early as she normally is because her child was sick. So she needed to take the child to visit the hospital, and she communicated. Probably not through the right channel, but she spoke to her direct head, and she also spoke to a few other of us. I was a core member at that time, and she said, just aid me and start up this work. I'll be late, but I'll be coming. And she talked to a few other colleagues as well. However, as another senior staff walked into the office, and he did not see her on seat, because he needed her for something. So he asked, where's this lady? And she said, and we all went, she would be coming in late because she took her child to the hospital. And okay, so first of all, he gave her a query. Not a problem. She should answer that, right? Then secondly, in front of us, in front of everybody, junior staff, interns, core members and all that, in front of everybody, he came and he's just shouting and he's raking and saying, why would someone just decide to neglect her job just like that? She should not be working here if she does not take her work so seriously and things like that. It just, I was really wondering, like, instead of doing anything, she actually just came and sat down crying because
And the
her
person
anger
she
would
took
not
permission from did not
say
did not say
anything.
anything.
It was just really a distressing situation. I was like, no, this is absolutely wrong. There are certain things that should have been in place. This person that they spoke to, in fact, no, she did mention it, but he said, I'm not talking to you. So, all right, so you, in that kind of scenario, you cannot do anything because this is your boss. And so at the end of the day, she just sat down, answered her query, cried and cried. But literally, her work that day was just disrupted. But she had to get back herself because she had to still give reports. Our work with the media, they don't care whether someone is dying. So long as you're there to do your job, you have to do it. So she did her job at the end of the day, but it wasn't up to performance, her usual performance. It was a little lesser because her emotional her emotional structure that day was just not where it was on a regular day. But I felt that there were a lot of things that should have happened, and I felt like it was totally wrong, and I was angry on her behalf. I went back home and I was thinking, if I was in her shoes, what exactly would I have done? I think I probably would have walked out on him talking, but that would also mean my job. So I had to learn over time that your anger would not, the reaction you have in anger is not justified at all. Nobody actually looks at whether or not you were the one who was wronged. Nobody cares.
So how do you react now when, okay, this is the question. You work with people that you are not in control of their action or inaction or reaction. And imagine you just made a point about a media station that does not care when you have a production or when there's a news that is supposed to come up by 10. Your audience or your viewers are seated, so they don't know what is happening. All they need to see is, and then you had made every arrangement as probably the producer, the director, or whatsoever, and then a team member decided to not show up without communicating, or one team member decided to just be like not to show up at all. Like, how do you react when you have people there? At some point there was a time I had a production scheduled for like let's say 4 p.m. and then I communicated everybody that was involved, only for me to show up at that time and there was nobody. So thank God it wasn't a live show, it was just a recording that was just scheduled that came up. And so how do you react to that? If you're saying, okay, you should not allow your anger, you should not, like, what do you do in that kind of situation? Because your mind, your emotions want to, like, how do you react
As
to
a
such?
boss, right?
Not really as a boss, as a crew member or as an individual. Like, you have a team that you're working with and you already agreed, you have an arrangement for a production or for whatever work or meeting, and somebody that knows is responsible, is playing a key role, decided not to be available, to abscond without communication. What do you do in such instances?
You have to show your anger. You have to show that you're not pleased with what has happened. Because if you decide to bottle up everything, there would definitely be repetitions of such attitudes. So you have to show that you're not comfortable with this. I think that is the first thing that should be done. If you are the boss in that situation, you show it clearly.
Not if you're not the boss, it's your
whether you are the
colleague
boss or not. Why I am emphasizing on the boss is it is your responsibility to show that. If you are a crew member, of course you have to show that, boy, there is some form of boundary to whatever you do. If
so
you are
as
a
a
crew
boss,
member,
my mind is telling me slap this person.
no, when I say show your anger, you have to let them know you're not comfortable with it. Why were you not around? We scheduled this for 4 o'clock. Why didn't you show up? You have to let them know that it didn't go down well with you, and ethically it is wrong for you to agree that you would do something and then you don't do it. Even if you come with an excuse later on, it still does not justify the fact that you didn't do it. We learned recently that delayed obedience is still disobedience. So when you are supposed to do something at a particular time and you did it later, the fact that you did it later does not change the fact that you disobeyed. So when you delay an act of obedience, it is still disobedience. And when you don't do it, it is still disobedience as well. So you have to let them know that you're not okay with it. And if peradventure that scenario repeats itself again, then you know that it definitely has to go beyond just telling them you're not comfortable with it. You have to take an action, because that will be able to curtail excesses from people. It is an organization and it has to keep running,
No wonder
whether
I
you
said-
are there or not. You're not the pioneer of the whole thing,
I said
and
no-
even if you're not there, it will still work.
No
So
wonder people say that where there is no law, abuse is inevitable, and that's why where policy should come in. But the
Yes.
situation where you know why you have people do what they do is because they know that the law will not catch up with them.
Yes.
But if organizations have policies, they have laws, and they
Yes.
uphold it, like then a lot of things will have been
yes,
minimized.
and,
Because
and
for example,
if they uphold it, like you just said, because there are organizations that the law is just like pictures there. When you do something, nothing works, or 1, 2, 3 people will do the same thing and no penalty. The fourth person, there will be penalty. That's when there will be an uproar.
I think the problem
it's
there
usually
is, you
like
know, the
that.
law. There's
It.
something about law that says he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. So if you want to punish, you want to start thinking, you know, when you find that kind of thing happening in an organization, it means that maybe the person that is supposed to like to give the punishment, like has also faulted in one area or the other, and is now thinking, okay, by the time I do this, on what moral ground are you standing? And that's why you have subordinate, you have
restitution at
staff,
that
you have
point.
team members doing whatever they like to do.
Yeah.
Whatever they want to do, they go against policies, they go against laws because they feel nobody can do anything. Think about it, for example, when you have unhealthy relationship. Oh, the boss now is dating the security officer, so or the security guard. The person want to come at any point because he knows that person, the head, is she not my girlfriend? So she can. How does she want to give me query for coming late? Like a tax is given to me by my immediate boss. Do this. I will decide not to do. I can
Of
abscond
course.
from work. Am I not dating the boss? The security man will do whatever he wants to do. Why? Nothing can be done.
Yeah.
Or in most cases, like at the end of the day, nothing will be done. No matter what you try to do, like no action will be taking place.
So
and
when
that,
there is law, it starts with you.
do you understand? So I think it also falls back on the organization and its policies.
Yes,
What are your
exactly.
policies? What are your laws? What do you do about orientating people? When people come to your place, do you do orientation to them? Do you let them know about some of these laws? And then how do you uphold your laws? Because if you have it in paper and there's no implementation, you have more people faulting.
It would just be it would just be a piece of paper and with no value
True.
to it. But you see, to find yourself in a situation like this, it all boils down to how the organization is organized. It's called an organization for a reason. Excuse me. So if a team, for instance, have a scheduled meeting and one person decides not to be available and does not communicate to anybody, and this person has a very sensitive role to play in this in the meeting. So how exactly do you want to go ahead if the policies of the organization does not aid you? So you have to look for ways to show up your anger. But you see, one thing is that you cannot get violent because it's a work environment, and you cannot have like an outburst. So in all this, you still also have to curtail your anger, not sit down on it and not do anything, but rather watch how you're reacting. I found myself in a situation one time, and I needed to talk to someone way older than me, way older in about qualification, age, however you can think of it. This person was like way higher, and he was doing something, and at that point I was angry. And so what I did was I had to calm myself down, and I asked the person, when you say we should talk to you, are you not supposed to listen to us? But it just looks like you're hearing us and not listening to what we are saying. And so he, at the end of the day, he was the one who was turning to tell me, okay, so I'm listening, actually. Now talk. I want to hear exactly what you have to say. So this was a point where I had to curtail my anger and find ways to actually communicate with this person. It's not always an easy task to find yourself in a situation like this, because oh, you would be angry. For instance, this situation you talked about, that there was supposed to be a recording and everybody's supposed to be on set by this time, and you find that nobody is there. So that would mean that the recording would automatically be late. And it also mean that if you had something scheduled for after the recording, you would also be late for that schedule. So your time has already been infringed, tampered with. Thank you. So there are just a lot of negative things that would pop up in that situation. You're boiling and you're just thinking. So you have to get yourself to a point where you're not at the boiling point, but like maybe you're steaming. And when you're steaming, you actually have a little sense of reasoning. So you're able to think before you say anything or do anything. And in an organization that have policies, you go along with the policies. And for our kind of organization, queries fly. So you could use that medium. And the pro about that is that when that query is being issued, that person that was not on seat when he's supposed to be, your file is automatically tampered with, and that means that there's a court for you somewhere automatically. So you know that people should work on their toes because they do not want that much queries in their files. So these are things that have been put in place for you by the organization. But in a situation where the organization does not have it, you have to look for alternatives. How do you talk to this person to actually listen and find a common ground between the two of you? It's not going to be an easy task. Some people just don't care what is going on with you. So long as it does not affect them, life goes on. So you have to find a way to make sure that it affects them as well, so that they will see that it hurts. Not in a negative way, but in a way that will benefit the organization.
You know, working with people, like different organization or different settings, doing business with people, like, has taught me a lot, especially as regards people being who they are. Like, to some extent, you can't change certain people. Like, it's not of you to think that everybody must behave like you.
True.
Who told you that you were born the same day you were given birth? Even if you were,
Even
your trainings are not the same. You're not
Twins
brought
don't
up
do
in the
things
same.
the
Do you
same way.
understand? So that we grew up together does not mean that our life will end up 20 years after. We'll all be playing at the same field together. At one point or the other, some will travel out, some will be in another state. Profession will take people to different places. So that you start up together does not mean you will end up like that as well. So I've come to realize that certain people, like someone said earlier on, like they're agent of the devil. Like, while you wake up and ask God to favor you, to help you to have a great day, to help you be good at your job, another person wakes up with, I'm going to deal with that person. I will make sure that I spoil this person's day. I will make sure I say something to that person that will make this person like angry for the rest of the day. No, I will make sure I put this person to depression. Like, that's another person's prayer as he or she is leaving the house. So, but because we work in an organization, we are not an island, we work with people. That means people are going to say hurtful things to you. That means people are going to do things that are not right. That means people are going to lie. Some are going to cheat. Some are going to be dishonest with you. Some are going to backbite. Some are going to say things that you did not say. Like, but would you continue to fight? Imagine that at the gate, you just got to the gate and the security person is telling you that, you are late, or God said I have to close the door once you are 1 minute late, and you check your time and see that it's not yet 7, and you are telling me I'm 1 minute late, and you're asking the person to check, and the person saying that his instinct told him already you are late. He cannot check anytime. So imagine you have to deal with this person at entrance. Would you fight now? Would you drop your bag and start exchanging blows or rendering insult on the person? And then having escaped from that gate, you're about entering your office and you're seeing that something you kept here, like the key to the office, is missing, and the person in charge is telling you that I don't know how it got missing. Or you're saying, but I gave you the last time before I left the office, and saying, me, I don't know, I'm not a magician to know. How do you deal with this person again? Now you are entering the office, there's a file on your table that you're expected to do something in the next 30 minutes and you were not told, like, prior to this day, and this thing will require you to maybe converse with certain people, put certain things in order. Like, how do you deal with all of these? And that's why we're talking about being in control of your temper. Because if you are going to let your temper become loose, then it means you and a mad person, there won't be any difference, because you have to keep fighting from this point to the other, from that point to the other. At the end of the day, nothing is going to be done.
Yes.
The whole aim of having an organization is for you to be productive, to achieve results at the end of the day, not for you to come to work and then fight all day and then go back home. You hear people say, oh, I'm equal to the tax, and bring it on. Like, there are people that walk around looking for people that will bring it on so that they can just fight them. So you see, at the end of the day, you do nothing. You end up dignifying the wrong things at the detriment of the right things that you ought to do. So what do you need to do? As a person, you need to consciously be in control of your temper, because you know that there are those tendencies that might trigger you and make you react in certain way. And that's why I always say the first point is you realizing who you are. Tell yourself or ask yourself, why am I in this place? By the time you know why you are in that place, it will also help you to be in control of your emotions or your reactions, because controlling your temper is more about you than the other person. Because it means that there will be a lot of things that will trigger you, that will make you react in certain way. But would you want to be in the bad light, or you want to be in the good part? Now, that's not you suppressing. I'm against you suppressing your emotions, like your anger. Anger comes at different levels, and then anger is a natural emotion. You don't have to suppress it. It's a natural emotion. Even animals experience it, and that's why sometimes your dogs at home, you see them bark in certain way, or when they are hungry, they don't have food, or somebody is trying to enter the house and they know that they are supposed to guard it, you see them reacting in certain way. So anger in itself is not bad. It's a natural emotion, and every human experiences it. But what is important is for you to manage your anger. Anger can be mild, which is just you showing some irritation to certain things. You are irritated when somebody lies. You are irritated when somebody is constantly trying to backbite. So at the mild level, it's just you be reacting to irritation. But it becomes chronic when you don't have control. You allow it to just, and that's when it's called bad temper. Like, it is not you now in control of yourself. It is the anger in control of you, and that's when it's called chronic anger. And that type of anger is best known by the result. You see people developing peptic ulcer, diarrhea, like they don't get to because they don't get to digest their food. You are angry. People develop heart problem. People slump, like get heart attack because of chronic anger. And then the suppressed anger is not a good one. Because you know something is disturbing you, and you are suppressing it. You're not talking about it. You're not letting it go. It is in you, and that can also lead you to developing some health challenge. And that's why I say I'm not for suppressed anger. You address it, but how do you address it? Find a good and a better way to address the issue. You can talk to the person. What you did was wrong. We're supposed to have a production, and you know you're playing a key role in that production, and you decide to abscond. Like, you should address it. If you need to query the person, there are some punishment that organization do. For some organization, they cut down your salary. For some, they can even put you on suspension and all of that. You need to take a measure to address that kind of like attitude. Because if it is work and all you want is results, and you're letting certain things slide, it means you're letting your organization go down. Even like sooner or later, you start seeing things not working because you continue to let things just go. Sometimes working with people, like there are people that you know that are responsible for certain things, and the person knows that, okay, I will not be at work. And instead of informing ahead of time, so that you know you have a responsibility that you play. So if you're not going to be around, that means your responsibility should be assigned to somebody to cover up for you. But the person will not communicate it until that time that is needed for the job. And the person will just send message, sorry, I cannot make it today because of this and that. So at what point do you want the person to start looking for another person? What about the availability of the second person? So there are a lot of things that we need to put together. Communication is very key in an organization. Communication can either make or mar that organization or your business. If you don't learn to communicate the right way, you find out that there's chaos everywhere. Now at that point, as an individual who is calm, collected now, like you see yourself being pushed to the wall. Even when I came out saying that, oh, my day is blessed, I'm not going to have any issue with somebody, and then somebody just deciding to be who he is, not showing up, for a meeting that was scheduled and there was an agreement. Even if there was an emergency, you should find a way of communicating it. And that's why for me, I don't support the fact that you have to keep fighting with people, or you have to be all loud, and like there are a lot of ways to address issues. You don't even have to indulge the person physically. I mean, you work in a formal organization, why are you exchanging words with
Papers
somebody?
fly.
You don't
So
have to
go ahead.
You don't have to sit down and start shouting and exchanging words to somebody with somebody. You don't dignify it. I was telling somebody recently, talking about somebody was advising me to call you and call this person and talk. I say, call who? No, you know that it can never be possible. No, there are certain circles that I personally have told myself that I cannot be found there. So as an individual, can you check what are your triggers? There are things that I know as an individual that can trigger like my emotions and can make me react in certain way. If you want to be in control of your temper, you must recognize those triggers, those things that have the tendency of making you like react in a negative way. I mean, I'm having a conversation. If you're not a good person, if you know that you've not reached that point of understanding different perspective to an issue, you should not engage in arguments, because you find yourself becoming angry, insulting, and fighting. There are people that just from somebody just disagreeing with their perspective, they get angry. And they decide to fight with the person just because the person is saying, me, I'm not seeing it the way you are seeing it too. You are seeing 6, me, it's 9 that I'm seeing. And it's from where I'm standing. But this person can just be angry because you refuse to agree. And you find that in an organization with things that you have certain tasks to take care of. But this person, no, we should do it this way. Another person say we should do it this way. You say, but this is, if we follow this way, we're going to get results. And the other person saying, this is how we have been doing since, and it must be that way. And then you want to start fighting with the person. I am the boss here. The other person say, me, I know that this is how we've been doing. Though you are the one heading this thing, but you just came yesterday. So these are people that don't even understand perspective, that don't even understand responsibility. Do you want to keep engaging yourself in that kind of thing? It tells a lot on your reputation if you're not in control of your temper. And that is why you don't allow people. Somebody can just come deliberate and say, you see, I'll make her angry, wait and see. So imagine you now reacting to that issue. There are certain things that as an individual in an organization, don't dignify. That, you frustrate the person more when the person says, I know I'll get her, and then you just smile like Prudence says she will smile to the situation. That's her own way of reacting, but the person did not know. Say, after all
I was going to
make
say
her
that
angry, she's smiling.
Suppressed anger is what brings about malice, is what brings about grudge.
True.
Because you did not find a time to air it out in a very good way. You keep keeping it in yourself. There are people that have been keeping malice with each other in the workplace for a very long time. And that affects the organization where you work. Wherever it is, it affects it. Because the idea of that organization is for people to come together and work for progress of that organization. So when you allow temperamental issues to be uncontrolled temperamental issues to come into play and affect the productivity of that work, then at the end of the day, the aim has been defeated. So whatever you have, yes, don't keep it. But then when you are airing it out, you should be able to say it in a good way. Manner matters. Because if I come, Joyce, this thing you did for me, I don't like it at all. I come shouting, and then the whole people in the workplace are listening to us. It brings about the whole escalation of the whole thing. But if I can find a very good way to table it before you, nobody would even raise an eyebrow, because at the end of the day, we settle it amicably amongst ourselves and we move ahead.
So you see, for me, that reaction is a trigger. Like I just noticed you and Prudence relating, like, and you had an issue and Prudence just came to you shouting, raising her voice, and for me that's a trigger, and I take note of that. It helps me like relate with her better, so I know that this person has this tendency of doing this. You don't have to keep malice with people, but you don't have to be friends with people.
Exactly.
Like the GM will always say the workplace is not a place of friendship, but you can have friends at work. Now it means that you should not prioritize relationship over work. So, and there's nothing wrong with you not being friends with certain people. They are all of us have our values. Everybody we have our principles, and for some people they are like, they uphold their values, their belief, and their principle, and that's what guides them. Like like your character tells on who you are. And once I notice your character does not align with my values or with where I stand, I don't have to be friends with you, because it means that if we have conflicting values, we're going to be always having issues. It's going to be fight upon fight. So if what matters to me does not matter to you, we don't have to be friends. You just find yourself, we walk in the same place and I like partying, and for you it's against your belief. No, that like you should not. We don't have to be friends. If you are a quiet person and you don't like a loud person, and now as your colleague, I'm that loud. You know, you always have those colleagues that
Loud
are everywhere.
colleagues.
You go to this office, you see them.
True.
You go to this place, they are always there. They're almost everywhere. And they are loud. They talk about things that have nothing to do with work. So if I'm that kind of person that is a focused person, like it should be about work. If we need to just let it be outside work. But you as my colleague, what you're so interested in is let's gist now. Almost that we're at work does not mean we cannot talk about hair, we cannot talk about clothes, we cannot talk about movies, we cannot talk about this. It means that me and you might not have good time, because our conversation might not align and all of that. So why not keep you at distance and relate with you as far as work is concerned? There's nothing wrong with that, but you should not keep malice with people.
Works.
No,
It works.
you just
It goes a
relate with
long
people
way.
on that level. And I think it's going to save you a lot, because there won't be anything that would trigger any emotion. You have saved yourself the triggers
Of
now.
course.
The tendency of Prudence just jumping at me and shouting at me or embarrassing me. There are people that, you know, like I used to say, when I find myself in a place, I try to relax and then like take note of people and how they react, what matters to you and how you react to certain issues. That way you're going to be guided, because some people, they don't see anything wrong with embarrassment. They can just see and say, you this stupid girl. They think it's a compliment, but maybe you are looking at it, you should not do that. Like, if it's me and you, we are friends and like it's okay, but we are in public and hey, this stupid girl, you're just coming to work now.
You
And
know,
then
you know
doing
one
away
thing
with less
is
of personal things also
would
would
help
save you the
True.
whole thing
True.
of
True.
controlling of anger.
True.
Sometimes this whole see finish is because you have laid all your cards on the table.
True.
Everybody knows the things you are going through in your house, the struggle you are going through, every single detail of your life. Everyone knows about it. So by the time triggering of anger and all of that temper is coming up, there's little or nothing you can do, because what do you want to go and tell Prudence that you have not told everybody before? Everyone knows about it. So work is work. Anything personal should be personal. So if you decide to relate with anyone based on personal stuff in the workplace, you should be able to do it outside of the work, so that nobody comes, this is what Joyce told me, this is what Prudence is.
It's just
Work is work.
it's just that you keep bringing in things to work that are not supposed to
True.
be at work. So, but on a different note, or rather, speaking from where Joyce was talking about and how someone just thinks that something is a joke to him and to you it's not. I think one very important way to handle that is to be vocal about what you don't like. In a work environment, we've spoken about how you can shut some things out of your workspace. If you don't enjoy this kind of jokes, please be vocal about it. There's nothing wrong about saying things like, I really don't like this form of jokes. If this person continues to do it, do not give a listening ear. In fact, if the person does it once or twice and you're not bulging, the person is going to take his step back and just let you go. So these are certain things that you cannot let get into your way when you're working. There are things that you have to be vocal about. We're talking about how you do not hold on to anger in your heart, but rather be vocal about some of these things. Find ways to talk it out, to sort them out, so that they do not become problems over time. Because if you continuously are irritated by something, sooner or later you're going to have an outburst, because it just keeps piling and it's piling. So it's better if you sort it out before it piles and gets to a point where you're giving an outburst. And also, I know how sometimes when you have told yourself that you're not going to be angry about certain things, the devil just decides that is what you will meet when you go out. So try as much as possible, when you have made decisions like, okay, so I'm not going to let this person get to me, or I'm not going to let this action get to me, try as much as possible that you are consistent about that, and you work towards not letting it get to you, because some people are just out there to get to you. Oh goodness, they wake up in the morning and that's the only thing they can think of. If I get to the office, I need to spoil Joyce's mind, because if I don't spoil her mind, work will not be sweet for me that day, so I have to make her angry. Tell yourself that you will not get angry. Everybody has different things they come to the office with. Everybody comes from a different background, so everybody has his or her own idea of how work should work out, but that does not determine how you should react. So find a way to tell yourself that even when I get angry, I will not overreact, and curtail those times that you want to just spit out venom. I've heard Joy saying it a number of times.
To who?
but you know that when she says things
Are you
like that,
scared?
she's
To who?
joking.
I know I've said it countless times. I'll tell people I will not tolerate abuse. I will not tolerate disrespect. And you see what I do that helps me. Let me say it now. I'm somebody that I think respect is reciprocal, and everybody deserves to be respected regardless of your status. I don't like to see that because you are the boss, you disrespect the person who is a cleaner, or because you have relationship with this person, so it means it should get to your head and you should be disrespectful. No. If you have a relationship, go and relate with the person you are relating with, and should have nothing to do with work. And that's why for some organizations, they don't even allow for relationship. So if you should have nothing to do with work. Like, go and have your relationship and don't bring it to work. And then if you work, you have subordinates, you have superiors. Your superiors deserve some respect from you. And if there's an instruction, adhere to it. But don't feel because of this, I'm related to, for example, the board chairman, I'm related to the board of trustees. I have this and that to do with this person. So nobody, no, I would not. That's why I would always tell people, everyone is deserving of respect, and you must respect everybody. So you cannot be asking for respect and you are not giving respect. And I always tell people, I will not tolerate abuse. Jokingly, I'll say it, but like I don't like those instances. So when I see the trigger in you that you're an abusive person, you're a disrespectful person, I will treat you from arm's length. Like I wouldn't bring you close, because I know when you disrespect me, there's tendency that I would lose. Like I won't be in control of my temper. It means that I will address you, and the addressing might even reach slapping. So you see, the best thing for me to do now is to treat you at arm's length, because I have noticed the trigger, and the trigger is disrespect. So we must get to that point if you want to be in control, because things that will get you angry, get at your nerves, will always be there as far as work is concerned. So identify the triggers. If you are that person that don't like lies, don't bring somebody that lies a lot close to you, because it means one day it will get to you and you want to react, and your reacting might be you just carry this mug and just tone the person, and at the end of the day you end up regretting. So it's okay for you that when people do certain things you get angry, but manage your anger. In managing, you can walk away from that situation that got you angry. You can also think, just reflect on the reason why you're angry. Most cases, personally, I don't talk when I'm angry, because if I open my mouth, you might enter depression. I was telling a friend recently that somebody did something, but I'm just looking at this person, because honestly, if I open my mouth and say certain things to this person will spend the rest of his or her life crying. And those words, I cannot take it back again. So you see, in most cases, I say, and I know the highest the person can do, and that highest cannot do anything to me. I will not lose anything in the end, but this person has everything to lose when I open my mouth. But I decided I will be quiet, and that's what I do in most cases. When I see those things that are triggers, I just try to be calm. I zip my mouth, because if I open it, it's venom. So I decide to zip the mouth and close it. That's me being in control of my emotion or my temper at work. So we must all learn to identify triggers. We must all learn to be in control. If you're not in control of your temper, it means you're going to be loose guarding. It means that everybody be like, don't go close to this person, and all of that. So while anger is a natural emotion, how we react, how we manage our anger is very, very important. Psychologists and medical researchers will tell you that it's detrimental if you're not in control of your temper. People can just say, don't worry, I'll say this thing, you see, she will be angry. And they will do it, and you see, you out, and they will say, you see. So don't let people be the ones that are in charge of your emotion, but be in control of your emotion.
And that's why the Bible
just when they think that you're
being
going to
slow
react,
to speak, quick to listen.
and so just when they think that you're going to react this way, and then you just smile like Prudence said, and they will be like, after all I said to her, she's smiling. Yes, that's the idea. So stay guided. Let people not define you. Let their action and inaction not tell on who you are. It should only say that this is who they are, and that's their character. So the whole aim of working is to be productive, achieve results, and that should be your priority. Always know why you are in that place, in that organization, in that business. Why are you there? Stick to it. If you need to be reminding yourself by reading your employment letter, please do that. Don't carry personal issues to work, because in most cases all of these anger and triggers are because of personal issues and all of that. So I hope you learned something, especially in being control of your anger. Don't let agents of the devil make you lose guard. Thank you, Jemima. Thank you, Prudence, and Equa Executive. We really appreciate you for this platform. Our viewers, thank you so much for sticking to Equa Television International. Crew members, Mata, special welcome back to Mata Isa. We've missed you, and we are grateful that God has made everything swift and smooth. Welcome back. Hassan Danjuma, thank you being behind the camera and ensuring that we're on screen. Victor Bende, our editor and the man behind the graphics, we are grateful. Yila, Linda, Jerry, we are grateful. Sound, Japheth, Moses, Sernan, and every other person, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow, same time. Bye-bye.